Ciao, welcome back to our course of Italian for Beginners. This is lesson 19, lezione 19. I hope the course is going well for you. Let me know how much you're learning, what you find easy or what you find difficult. And please remember that you can leave a comment and ask me questions about anything that I have covered so far. And also you can suggest topics which I'm going to cover whenever they fit. Obviously, I am following a certain order. We started from basics and I've added, so we're building up the vocabulary. So suggestions are welcome. But as I said, they will be covered, whichever topic you like me to cover. They will be done whenever it makes sense. So whichever level makes sense. So today we are going to look at a few more verbs, a few more bit more vocabulary, and in particular how to make sentences and how to talk about things that we do every day or on a regular basis. So a bit of a daily routine. So let's share immediately the page and let's see where it's gone. There it is. So let's see what we have here. We have la routine quotidiana. Routine obviously is not an Italian name. Word is, I don't know if it's French, originally French. Anyway, it is pronounced like in English. I know that in Italian we do pronounce every word. However, as this is not an Italian word, we try and pronounce it as close as possible to the original language. So this will be la routine quotidiana. Quotidiana means daily, the daily routine. Let's see, what do we do normally or what many people do? Obviously, this is, I don't know, just a normal, ordinary day, but feel free to add any activity that you do in your day, every day or every week that is completely different from this. I didn't go too complicated, really. I kept it as simple as possible. So there will be some words that you have already seen and some new ones. Let's see, we start from the morning and then covering the whole day. So there are a few activities until the evening. As I said, nothing extraordinary. In fact, it really is the things that, as I said, most people do. But we're just looking at how to put sentences together and what we can say in our sentences and also the word order a little bit. So let's see the very first sentence. La mattina faccio colazione in fretta. La mattina is the morning, which you can translate obviously with in the morning. Remember, if you use la in front of morning, afternoon, evening, and night as well, and also if you use the definite article in front of a day of the week, for example, il lunedì, it means that this is what you do every morning or every Monday or every afternoon or evening, whatever the time of the day is. So la mattina means in the morning, meaning on a regular basis. Faccio colazione in fretta. So you're with la mattina, you're saying when you do this action, this activity. Faccio colazione is the activity, which is literally I do or I make. Well, no, let's go with I do breakfast. literally. However, what you're saying is that I have breakfast. If you want to separate and have in fact, if you want a neater separation between making breakfast or preparing breakfast and eating breakfast, you can use the verb for preparing if you're making it, and then fare, which is to do, to make, which means to eat it. So faccio colazione and then in fretta. In fretta means in a hurry, quickly. So these are things that you can add to your sentences, not just the verb followed by a couple of words, but you can say when you do something and how you do something. When, in this case, is in the morning, and how, in this case, is in a hurry. Next one, vado al lavoro in autobus. Vado, we've seen it before, is I go to work by bus. We have seen quite I think probably all of them, or we have an idea of what this sentence says. Vado, I go, verbo andare, irregular. Al lavoro, remember that each place, each destination has its own preposition, its own little word. And I do have a video which covers exactly this, the prepositions that we need in front of places. So especially after the verb to go. And the prepositions are the same if we had the verb to go or if we are in the place. Do look at the video, and I think I have a couple of videos. So one, as I said, is the one with the title about the verb andare, to go, followed by to, the preposition to in English. And then I have another one that specifically mentions prepositions a and preposition in. So both of them will be useful at this stage. So I go to work, and then in fact, in the same videos, you will find how to use which preposition to use before means of transport. So in autobus, remember that you need to pronounce every letter. So if you find it difficult, think about the AU, think about the car Audi. I don't think, or I've never heard anyone pronouncing the car Audi. Audi, so autobus, autobus. What else are we going to do? Faccio una pausa per pranzo. Literally, I do a pause, so a break. I have a break for lunch. So we can start seeing how, especially the verb fare, which is this one, faccio, and we have it again, how many activities, how many actions, how many expressions we have with the verb fare. Fare covers to do and to make, but as you have seen already, it can also be translated into English with other verbs. In this case, I have breakfast, and in this case, I have a break, or I take a break. So una pausa, as I said, literally a pause, or it's a break. Per pranzo, for lunch. We'll see a lunch a little bit later, and breakfast as well. Here we have pranzo con la mia collega. So we have the same word here. However, as I said, I'll cover it a little bit better later. So this is the noun pranzo for lunch, and this is a verb conjugated for the first person singular. I lunch, or I have lunch. Con la mia collega, with my colleague. In my previous video, I have spoken about the possessives. And if you remember, we need the article, definite or indefinite article in front of possessives. Collega is a colleague. In this case, we know it's a female colleague because we have la, mia, both feminine. Dopo il lavoro vado a fare la spesa. So we have some new words. Dopo is after. After work, I go to do the shopping. Fare la spesa, another expression with fare, it means food shopping. So I go to do the shopping. You can see also here we have two verbs together. I go to do. So the first one, when you have two verbs, it's the same in English, although it's more difficult to realize that you're doing exactly the same. The first verb is conjugated. The second is the infinitive. You cannot say, I go, I do the shopping. You can't conjugate this one. It needs to be the infinitive. As I said, if I described it before, it's like the original form of the verb. So fare la spesa is to do food shopping. Next, quando torno a casa, preparo la cena. So quando is when I return or I go back home, I prepare the dinner. I'm translating literally. So when I go back home, I prepare dinner. Here we'll see the verbs, the new verbs. I've listed them at the bottom of the page. So when I return or I go back. A casa, remember, a casa, you'll see it in the same video where I talk about a and in. Go home to the house. I prepare the dinner, as I said, literally. So this is the word for dinner. And then we have ceno con calma. This is the verb for to dine. So literally you're saying I dine, not I have dinner or I eat dinner. I dine. I dine con calma, meaning slowly, calmly, without hurry, which is the opposite of the breakfast. So again, here you can say how you have dinner in this case. Remember, you can add obviously other information. You can say with whom you have dinner. You can say ceno con la mia amica, ceno con, and then a name. Ceno con mio marito, mia moglie, husband, wife, etc. Let's see what we're going to do after dinner. Dopo cena guardo la televisione. We have dopo again. After dinner, I watch TV. The TV. You can not translate. You can abbreviate televisione with TV. However, it is pronounced TV because the letter V in Italian is pronounced V. So after dinner, I watch TV. Again, you can say for how long. For example, per 2 ore. That's a long time. Or you can say with whom again, con whoever. And then vado a letto presto o vado a letto tardi. I go to bed. Presto is early. Tardi is late. So you can start adding these little words and have a little bit more complete sentences, I call them, where you give a little bit of information. I'll say it now, I may repeat it later. These are exercises or practice that you can do also to test yourself. How much do I know? So just write sentences of what you is an example, what you do on a regular basis every day, or what you've done that specific day. And if you haven't at this point, if you're following, if you're a beginner, you haven't obviously done the past tense, don't worry. Just use the present tense exactly as I've done here. So you can have a list of all the activities that you have done during the day. And as I said, you can write where you did all these activities, with whom, and for how long. As I said, this, for example, per un'ora, per 2 ore, per molto tempo, a lot of time. And by the way, I do have a video, not in the playlist for the Italian for beginners, but my other videos on the channel. I do have also a video that covers molto, because I've just mentioned it, molto tempo, a lot of time. And you can start having a look at those videos as well. So this would be an ordinary week, let's say, an ordinary day in a week. Let's see il fine settimana. So il fine settimana is the Italian word for the weekend. Literally the end week, literally. So the word for end is this one, which is feminine. It is la fine, is the end. Also, the word for week is feminine, la settimana. However, when they come together to form the word for weekend, it becomes masculine, il fine settimana. Remember, you don't need any other word in between. Is just, this is the correct way to say it, il fine settimana. I don't know if there, I think I do have a theory why this is masculine, but I'm not going to go on with my theories. So let's see here what I've done and what you could also do as an exercise. Just a second. Is, for example, you can do it in whichever order. You can write sentences like I've done previously for the week. And then after you've written the sentences, you can ask a question about any of those activities. For example, let's take the very last sentence. Vado a letto presto o tardi. I go to bed early or late. So for this sentence, even after you've written it, you can say, what else can I do with this? What kind of practice can I do? You can have a question. So you've got the answer. Let's have the question for this answer. So you can write, for example, at what time do you go to bed? A che ora vai a letto? We have done the time. By this stage, you should have looked at the verb andare, to go. You do have these words. Remember, there are always lists of places which already have the preposition in front. So you can put all the things together, make the sentence, and then you can write the question. Or, of course, you can do the normal way around, which is ask a question and then obviously answer. And for each sentence, you can ask a question. This one in particular is, che cosa fai il fine settimana? What do you do at the weekend? So obviously you can have a list of activities. But however, you can also have more specific questions, like we've done before. At what time you do something? Where do you do this? With whom? How you get somewhere? At what time you do it, etc. just look at the sentence and see how many questions you could ask about this sentence. Right, so we have il sabato dormo fino a tardi. As I said earlier, if you say il sabato, it means on a Saturday, so on a regular basis. Il sabato dormo fino a tardi. On a Saturday, I sleep until late or till late. So until is fino a. You need both. Fino a, up to. You can translate it also with that. So you have to be careful because many do get confused. Look at these two words. They are quite similar. However, we said that la fine is the end, feminine. And this is fino a. Remember that they need to go together, these two words. Fino a, up to, until. They don't change. This fino a stays the same. It doesn't agree with anything. And fine as well, it's a noun. It doesn't change. It's feminine. Just remember that when you are using it in the for the weekend, then the whole word fine settimana becomes masculine. So up to late, literally. And what else can we do? Faccio le pulizie, another expression with the verb fare. I do the cleaning. Pranzo con un'amica, poi andiamo a fare spese. And so here we had the lunch again. So pranzo con un'amica, I lunch, literally, or I have lunch with a friend. And then poi, very useful little word. And then we go to do shopping. But this shopping is slightly different from the previous one. The previous one was fare la spesa, singolare, was the food shopping. Fare spese is more varied shopping. So maybe everything else basically, which is not necessarily food. So maybe in a what are those things called? I haven't been for such a long time in those things. I don't know, centro commerciale comes to in Italian, but not in English. But anyway, to the shops. So it could be clothes, accessories, or other things. But so fare spese, plural, is, let's call it the fun shopping, or all the things that we don't necessarily need. Instead, fare la spesa is the food shopping. We do need a bit of that. La sera incontro gli amici e andiamo al cinema. La sera, again, in the evening. I meet the friends, literally, but you can translate it with my friends, and we go to the cinema. Again, see a sentence, you can add a couple of things for if somebody asks you, what do you do in the evening? Then you can say not just I meet my friends, but I meet my friends and we go to the cinema. Or as practice, I do this often with the students, but especially practicing the questions. So they ask me something, but I don't give much information. So, for example, to the question, what do you do on Saturday evening? Maybe I can just say, I meet my friends. So a follow-up question could be, what do you do with your friends? Where do you go with your friends? So this is all practice. And don't worry if it is repetitive, because you do learn with repetition. So that was the end of Saturday, sabato. La domenica mattina vado in palestra. Again, on a Sunday morning, meaning every Sunday. So here you can see you have the day of the week and then the time of the day. So this is word order or a construction that you can use. So you can say, for example, domenica mattina, domenica pomeriggio, which is the afternoon, domenica sera. So day of the week and time of the day. Vado in palestra. I go to the gym. Again, we have, and this in fact, you've got the different places and you can start memorizing the preposition that you have in front of each place. Remember that it is always the same. If you are going to the place or you are at or in the place, it's always the same word. So it is easier to memorize it. Always the same. So I go to the gym. Poi faccio una passeggiata nel parco. We have poi again, so and then faccio una passeggiata. Another expression with fare. I do a walk, literally. Nel parco, in the park. Il pomeriggio leggo un po' e riposo. In the afternoon, I read a bit, un po' e riposo, and I rest, literally. You can translate it in English with I relax. This is when we say I rest, meaning relax. La sera ceno con la mia famiglia. In the evening, I dine, remember, or I have dinner with my family. Con la mia famiglia. So famiglia is feminine, and you can see it because you have la mia, everything feminine. So here, all these sentences, you can really observe and analyze each word, how they go together, how they agree, which words agree with with other words. Right, so here, so this is the week, the whole week and the weekends all done. So what I've done here, I've just picked, the few words and few expressions that can be useful. As I said, we have the meals here, and how we say that we are having these meals. So fare colazione, as I said, is to have breakfast. So you're using fare, the verb fare, when you're eating breakfast. And la colazione is the breakfast. Maybe pay some extra attention to this word because I don't know why, but for some reason, many maybe they don't concentrate enough, or maybe because I don't know, to be honest. Anyway, very often it gets pronounced wrong. So la colazione, or maybe it gets forgotten easily. Let's go for that reason, that explanation. We have the verb pranzare, literally to lunch, remember, or to have lunch. The lunch itself is il pranzo, masculine, la colazione femminile. Another verb is cenare, to dine, literally, or to have dinner. La cena is the dinner. And here we have some of the words that some of the verbs, sorry, that we have seen. They're all regular verbs. We do have fare, obviously, quite a few times. We have andare, which we have seen before. So make sure that you do learn those two irregular verbs. They're very, very important, in fact, crucial. Let's see some of the verbs here. Regular verbs, as I said. We have tornare. Tornare is to return. Remember, it's not to return something, it's to return somewhere. To return or to go back. We have guardare. Guardare is to watch or to look at. If you're translating with look at, don't worry about the at. Guardare covers the whole thing. look at, guardare, or watch. So watch TV, for example. Preparare, to prepare, is quite obvious. So you can prepare lunch, dinner, you can prepare anything else. Dormire, to sleep. Incontrare, to meet. So you can meet somebody. Leggere, to read. I've underlined it, we'll see why in a minute. Riposare, to rest. So this, as I said, they're all regular verbs. And again, some practice that you can do is to conjugate all of them. If you haven't yet memorized all the endings for io, tu, lui, lei, noi, voi, loro, this is what you can do to help with memorizing. Just write tornare and then io torno, tu torni, lui, lei torna. So verb drills, repetition, remember, is the best way. Also, if you are confident and if you're sure about the pronunciation, do read after you write, even all these sentences, read them loud. So you get used to hear your voice pronouncing certain sounds. And also, if you do it more than once, if you read every sentence more than once, remember, make sure that it is as correct as possible. You can start to get a bit of speed. So at the very beginning, obviously you have to concentrate on each word and say, oh, I need to pronounce it properly. So it's la sera ceno con la mia famiglia. Feel free to do that. And in fact, remember that I do have a video in 3 parts about pronunciation, alphabet and pronunciation on this playlist. And then, so you can also understand the whole thing. In the evening, I have dinner with my family. So you can then read it again a little bit faster. La sera ceno con la mia famiglia. La sera ceno con la mia famiglia. So you get a little bit more used to say certain words and said with a certain speed. It really is almost like a muscle, really, being able to pronounce things without even getting all without tripping, really, basically. So let's see, why did I underline the verb leggere? Leggere is a regular verb. However, when you conjugate it, which is what I've done here, remember the order is always the same. Io, tu, lui, lei, noi, voi, loro. So when we conjugate it, we have to be very careful to the pronunciation, because do you remember and I refer you to again to the video about the alphabet and pronunciation. Remember the letter G can be a bit of a, can cause some problems, some issues with pronouncing it in the correct way. So because the letter G can have the sound G or the sound J. So do go back or do, if you haven't watched it, do go and watch those videos. So I'll read all of them for you. Leggo, leggi, legge. Leggiamo, leggete, leggono. So as you can see, the first and the second, and in general, it's not a rule, but in general, very often, the first and the last person, so io and loro, especially when there are so many changes, very often they are similar to each other. It's not a rule and it's not for all verbs, but it's something you can perhaps notice, observe and notice, and it may help you. So I'll read it again. Leggo, leggi, legge, leggiamo, leggete, leggono. And what I'm going to do again, I'm going to read all these sentences again. La routine quotidiana. La mattina faccio colazione in fretta. Vado al lavoro in autobus, faccio una pausa per pranzo. Pranzo con la mia collega. Dopo il lavoro vado a fare la spesa. Quando torno a casa preparo la cena. Ceno con calma. Dopo cena guardo la televisione. Vado a letto presto o vado a letto tardi. Il fine settimana. Che cosa fai il fine settimana? Il sabato dormo fino a tardi, faccio le pulizie, pranzo con un'amica, poi andiamo a fare spese. La sera incontro gli amici e andiamo al cinema. La domenica mattina vado in palestra, poi faccio una passeggiata nel parco. Il pomeriggio leggo un po' e riposo. La sera ceno con la mia famiglia. So here we have, I might as well read all these breakfast and lunch thing. Fare colazione, pranzare, cenare. And the infinitive of all these verbs, tornare, guardare, preparare, dormire, incontrare, leggere, riposare. Right. So this is the daily routine and a few activities and few ideas. So I hope again you found this useful, and I hope this can perhaps inspire you to make your own sentences, and hopefully also this has a little ideas of asking questions and answering the questions. Uh, can also be useful for you to learn. And before going, I'll thank you again for subscribing, watching, commenting, and liking the videos. And as I said before, you can have your requests. So ask me to cover certain topics. And if something is not clear in the videos, feel free to write a comment and ask for questions and clarifications. And so this was lesson 19, lezione 19. Next lesson, la prossima lezione è la lezione 20, lesson 20. Ci vediamo la prossima volta. Ciao!